What I'm going to do today is go over how to grease up your drive shafts. So on the front and rear drive shafts on these things, there's Zerk fittings for grease, and they have like these little like expandy joint things. And look, this is not a technical analysis in any way, but you put grease in it, and it puts the pressure in the little joint and makes it extend. So after a while, I guess the grease comes out, or it just gets hot and burns off. There's a gap, and so the expandy joint will actually come together. And what will happen is you come to a stop, and it'll go like it'll come in, and then when you go to take off, it'll pop out, and it'll give you like a little clunk, like when you let off the brake or when you go to take off. And so a lot of people, it'll even, I think when you're sitting in like traffic, your transmission will shift down into first, and it'll almost feel like somebody rear ends you. It's just a normal Toyota thing. I've never experienced it in any other, rear biased or, all-wheel drive vehicle other than Toyotas. But it's a really easy fix. All you really need to do this job is like a standard size grease gun. And then I usually use a rag to clean it up because I don't like a mess. I also bring these like needle nose with me because sometimes the little Zerk fitting will get stuck, and I just use those to pry the fitting right off. So what I usually do is start at the front and work my way on back. And so I believe there's a fitting on each U-joint on the drive shaft. So this is the front drive shaft, and yep, of course, the fitting is right there. It's pointing up, so it's right there. The second one is, okay, so this is the front drive shaft. The second one is actually not on the U-joint. It's on, this is the grease gun connected to it, but it's on the actual, this is the slippy thing that I was telling you about before. So as I put grease into this, the slippy thing will get tension back on it. And there's not really a good way to really show it because of the angle, and there's an exhaust here, but take my word for it. There's one here, and I believe there's gonna be one on this next U-joint too, going into the transfer case. I ended up having to move the car back like 6 inches because this one was up against the frame. I couldn't reach it, so. Yep, shout out to my friend Dom for letting me borrow his grease gun because mine is nowhere to be found. You can go on the forum or on Facebook and get 1,000 different answers about what's the best grease to use. My opinion, put some grease in it, honestly. I mean, just get some grease in there. I don't think it matters that much. Somewhere along the lines, there's an engineer who'll tell me I'm wrong, but get some grease in there is better than no grease. Yeah, so I thought the grease gun was empty, and I took the lid off to see if it was empty, and like a literal handful of grease came out, and so that was fun. Yeah, so there's 3 on the front drive shaft. One is up in there on that U-joint, and then on the slippy part, and then on the rear U-joint. So I got the front 3 done, and you can see on the rear, I actually had to move the car again to get these lined up where I can actually just reach them. And so the slip yoke, I'm gonna leave the camera on, and you should see the slip yoke expand just ever so slightly. And then there will be one at the rear. So it's weird because like a few times I've done this, I never had to move the car to reach these, even if they were pointed up. I think my my grease gun might be a little bit more flexible than his. But yeah, it's very simple. I'm gonna leave the camera on while I do this one and see if you can see this thing moving. I don't know if you can see it, but I just saw it start to move a little bit. And on the U-joints, you can pretty much just, you'll hear it when it gets full. It like pushes up on the bearing. And on this, I believe it'll start to come back out the Zerk. But I honestly don't know. I kind of just stop whenever you feel it's best. Yeah, you see it moving. When I pump it up, it moves. And I think it's about done. Yep, so it goes back in. It went out and then it went back in, so I think it's full. It's probably shooting out of the... No, it's not. All right, so that one's done. And then the other one is right up here. It comes right off the U-joint. And of course, it's not a good fit. It's not even on, all right? It's gonna drop some grease all over my camera, that's cool. And see, this is not hard, but it's kind of dumb. And I don't think this gun is like very flexible, or like the hose is very flexible or something, because it just keeps giving me issues. All right, let's try this again. There we go. Yep, that's it. It was like 1 1/4 pump, and then it's coming out the seals. So not too bad at all. And then I have a napkin that I just wipe this off, because I guess if you just drive away with all this grease hanging off, it'll just sling all over the place. Not that that's really a big issue, but I'd rather just not. So I'm going up to the mountains this weekend, do some off-roading, and I do a little bit more challenging trails than I did in the ice, because there is no more ice. So that'll be, not only will it be fun to hit a little bit more challenging trail, but it'll be fun because there's no ice, so I won't be risking my life in the process. And I plan on making a pretty cool video about it, so, well, I'll try. It's cool. It's gonna be cool to me. I don't really know if it'll be cool to anyone else, but anyways, all right, those two are done. On to the final one in the rear. That's the last one on the rear, right in there. So there's not too bad of a job. It took me, I don't know, 20 minutes. I had to move the car twice. I had a Zerk fitting on the ball joint and then one on each bushing. I'm not gonna record these because you know how to use these. I think JBA recommends doing this like every oil change, or even more frequently than that. But I don't and haven't, and I guess they're fine, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do them now while I have the grease gun. I also went over all my fluids. I just changed the oil because it was time, and then I went over, you know, coolant, power steering fluid, brake fluid. Just check all your junk and make sure she's good to go. So yeah, that's about it for this one. Check your stuff before you go out there and break it, and you know, hurt your wallet, hurt yourself, hurt somebody else. You know, it's not worth it. So check your junk, make sure you're ready to roll, and grease your drive shaft. Have a good one.